So I'm over here to make this video today, and there's a lot about, we talk about, are there any good police officers, or all police officers are corrupt? And, I was a police officer for 24 years, and I like to think that I wasn't corrupt. And, I got many family members, my brothers and everybody else is still police officers, and I don't think they're corrupt. But what happens within the system is oftentimes the good officers can't come forward, because if you say anything, then you're ostracized, you're called what they blackball, blacklisted, or you're retaliated and totally moved from the police force completely. So it becomes a culture. It's the way you live, it's the way you think. There was a phrase that we often used to use in the workplace, and officers would say this all the time, and I want to say we learned this even in academy, and they would say, I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6. And then there's qualified immunity. So half the time when they're really saying I'd rather be judged by 12 than carried by 6, well, you're not going to get judged by 12, because the majority of the time it's qualified immunity that you're going to get out on that. So there is no real recourse. And then as far as, when they say carried by 6, you start to get this mentality or this understanding like you're at freaking war with the public. But we're public servants. We're not at war with the public. But that's what is being breeded. That is what is being raised. That is exactly what you can see is taking place with the American police force today. One thing I can say, when I started with LAX, we had almost no shotguns in the field. It was a lot different. We didn't have a lot of ballistic shields. We didn't have a lot of firepower, and that was in 2000. When you fast forward to when I left there in 2022, every single car had a shotgun in it. Many of them had AR-15s. Now we're wearing the same thing that I was wearing. I was in the United States Air Force, and I'm wearing my BDUs when I was over in Kuwait. And I found myself many, many years later working the streets of Los Angeles, dressed the exact same way, feeling the exact same way, same boots, same uniform. So it just totally became militarized. And then when you get into this environment, what I find is not about following the law. They could give a goddamn about the law. They don't care about the law. They care about following orders. So it doesn't matter what the law is. In fact, we're taught not to even think about what the law is. We're taught just to follow orders. And then so when you think, it becomes a problem. And one of the interesting tests that I had to take when I came into the police department back in 2000 was what they call the MMPI. And this is a psychological test where they asked maybe about a couple thousand questions regarding various things. Do you hear voices? Do you see people? And it's under the guise that they're looking to see if somebody has a psychological condition. I passed it the first time. I didn't have an issue, but then I knew some other people that didn't pass it. And one interesting thing that I heard from these individuals when they didn't pass the test, they were advised by the psychologist to don't think about the answer, just answer the first thing that comes to mind. So that's really important. So in order to pass the test, they said, don't think, just do the first thing that comes to mind. Well, that always became, and I used to operate like that as a police officer. I would just say, somebody give me an order, and I say, go. But then as I got longer into this, I start to actually read the law and ask questions. I didn't always just accept that. I would start to ask questions. And instead everybody else is just go, and they're already going on like, hey, Sarge, Chief, whatever. Look what this says. This isn't what the law says. That is not what they want in the police department. So that's why you don't have many good cops left, because it's impossible almost to have a good cop, because if you say something, I'm telling you, they will blackball you, or you won't be promoted. You think they're going to promote somebody up? Each time you get a promotion, sometimes it can be up to $30,000 to $40,000. You think they want to get that position, so they don't want to make anybody think that they're rocking the boat. So then that person rises and rises through the department, and he never opens his mouth. You know how many people I started off with in the department that say they know exactly what I'm saying is 100% right, but they just follow orders because they want to get that next paycheck. So that's what happens. Out of our entire department, we knew the department was utilizing fraudulent forms to implement the COVID-19 certain rules against the vaccinated individuals, not the entire COVID-19 ordinance, because some of it was passed through the legislative process, but many things were not passed through the legislative process, and they were violating the employees' rights, my coworkers' rights. And these individuals would come to me and knew 100% what was going on, and I would explain it to them. But how many of them stood up? Out of a department, we had 500 officers and maybe about 200 sergeants, so maybe 700 or 800 people. And out of all those individuals, I knew of 4 that actually put their name to something. No, three other ones plus myself that actually put their name to something and would actually file a complaint or do whatever else that was required. So out of that many, 700, and we got 4. So that's why it appears there's no good police officers, because they're all going along with that system. So I hope that's just a little bit of my intake. Like I said, I was out there for 24 years, seen it. My entire family's been in it. So I think I can talk about this competently. That's why. That's what you're seeing. Peace. See you in the next video. Like and subscribe.